Before we get to our next item, I'll read the equity statement. Educational equity means that every child belongs and receives whatever support he, she, they need to develop his, her, their full academic potential and social potential to learn and thrive every day. This begins with kindness and valuing the humanity of every child and individual. Next item is the warrant. I will entertain a motion to approve the warrant.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes 4-0. Next item, public participation. We can hear people in the room or online. A reminder, this is for items that are not otherwise on the agenda, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody in the room or online that wishes to speak? Yes, sir. Please come forward. Could you please identify yourself for the record?
Sure, my name is Matt Magnarelli, and I'm a resident of Burlington.
Thank you.
I think, is the green light on?
The green light is on. Closer? Is that better?
Thank you.
Well, thank you for letting me speak tonight, and last month and the month before. I appreciate, Ms. Simon, I know you sent me an email. I appreciate the fact that you've listened to some of my comments about the policy, and you've enacted something to get it looked at and get some things on the website so we can see some of the policies, so I really appreciate that. I want to talk about policy again tonight, surprise, right? First and foremost, I wanted to talk about a policy of standards of conduct, and I know that the Burlington town itself has a I think it's called personal rules and regulation that people within the town have to adhere to, and one of them is called treating the public in a respectful and positive manner. However, I do recognize that inside of here it precludes anybody from the school committee and from the administration and the faculty. I had asked Dr. Conti, I sent you a public records request to get a hold of the handbook for the administration and the faculty of Burlington Public Schools to find out there isn't one. So I thought that this would be a good time to talk about maybe some of those things of the code of conduct and what it might consist of. You know, we've talked about the social media that I've talked about before. And with that, again, I've gone and found some articles online, and I'm not going to read them all. I'd like to just read some excerpts from it just for the sake of time to stick with my 3 minutes, if that's okay. The first one was published on Tech and Learning, which is an online blog, and it was by Patrick Larkin. And it says, some thoughts on online etiquette. And I'm going to skip over part of this because he talks about his family. But I do wanted to bring some very important pieces to it that I think could be adopted in terms of when somebody violates a code of conduct or is punished for it. It starts off, and he's talking about, this is the only point where I'll paraphrase for him, he's talking about, the author is talking about social media in general. And it states, quote, while I see some very positive effects from the connectedness of our kids, I often worry about the negative impact a momentary lapse of judgment might have in the short term or the future of his son's name or one of his friends. I'm skipping forward just a little bit. With this in mind, the story of Justine Sacco is one that we should be sharing with our teenagers. Justine Sacco is a PR executive who made a racially insensitive tweet prior to boarding a flight to Africa. Unbeknownst to her, the tweet went viral and became a national news story as she made the lengthy flight to Cape Town. In the interim, she lost her job, and who knows if she will ever be able to repair the damage done to her reputation. Here's the policy part I think could be important. Quote, there are clearly two lessons here. First, there is the basic warning about thinking twice before you share something online. This is one we cannot share enough with our children. The second lesson here, however, may be more important. This lesson is the one about jumping into a hateful or insensitive mob in the name of righteousness. Skipping down, quote, I will ask my children to consider the importance of not adding hate to an already hateful commentary. My wish is that my children will see the hypocrisy in these actions of those who promote tolerance with ugly remarks about those who are intolerant. There will come a day when we seek to be pardoned for something, and that is the time we will reap what we have sowed with our online network. I have copies of this, and I just wanted to read two other sentences from another blog, from his blog called My Morning Journey. Again, this is written by Patrick Larkin. What to do when you see inappropriate social media posts by high school students. His top post from 2015. Again, skipping down, but getting to the point. As an educator, I feel it is the job of all of us to support students and ensure they are fully aware of the implications of their online activities. Therefore, when I saw the tweet above from a local student athlete, I decided to send an email below to his principal. I encourage others to take similar actions when they see this type of behavior. In the email, he says, I hope he will consider cleaning up his social media accounts. He goes on, my concern is that many of our students are having these conversations online without a full awareness of how public they are. I just wanted you to take that into consideration as you go into executive session today, because I believe that a published author in the area of social media who didn't act properly on social media probably needs to be held accountable for what he did. And the last thing, in that article, he made an example of, and again, this is an example he made, this is not what he actually did. It says, what would you think about me if this is all you knew? And it was a picture of his face, and it says, the Pats effing suck. And again, and he puts underneath the comments in the bubble from a student I know on Twitter. So he's making an example to his students of what not to do, because of what if that's all you knew about him.
I'm sorry, that has been 3 minutes. If you can wrap it up, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
My point is what if all we knew about him was he said, so predictable, they show their racism as soon as they start talking, not so undercover. And in closing, I just wanted you to know that friends, family, people I work with from different parts of the state and around sent me this information. That's why I'm here to talk about it. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Someone online. Thank you, Mr. Cuna. Thank you.
Jeff Needham on WebEx.
Mr. Needham, please.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Jeff, try one more time.
Hi. Yeah, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Not hearing you. Let's see.
How about now?
Jeff?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Not going through.
Jeff, I can hear you on the WebEx. I think it's just the room. That's
Yep.
having
Okay.
a problem.
This is all very suspenseful.
Let's see.
Hello?
One more time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear him. He's coming out of it. It's not coming through over here. One more time, Jeff.
Hello?
All right. We're getting closer to something, but
Could you hold the mic to your laptop, maybe?
I can, yeah.
You can hear it. I'll get started.
Jeff, do you want to try talking?
Sure. Yep. Is that good? Okay. I'll try to speak loudly. Hopefully you can hear me. Hi, I'm Jeff Needham. I'm a parent of a third grader at Memorial. I'd just like to make a couple quick comments about just the COVID safety protocols for the upcoming school year, if I may. I understand why many of the prior mitigation strategies are no longer in place, but there's still a lot of families that are working hard to prevent infection or reinfection in their children. Infections and reinfections should still try to be avoided, given the more we're learning about the long-term health effects associated with each infection. For the upcoming school year, I'd like you to please proactively consider strategies that will help keep our children healthy in school, including continuing the timely reporting of case numbers by school and continue reporting close contacts. Parents need this information to make informed decisions about the health and safety of their children. Continue to improve and promote ventilation, including open windows and HEPA filters. Also consider creative options like eating meals or snacks outside when possible. I know other schools in our surrounding towns are able to do this. And most importantly, please consider the policy surrounding return to school on day 6 for COVID positive students. Data show that most cases take at least 8 days to resolve, so many students will be returning to classrooms while still contagious and will be, at the very least, eating unmasked with their classmates in their grade. Requiring negative tests to return to school would go a long way toward preventing chain or continuous spread. And if that's not possible, please provide options for mitigating spread when there are active positive cases in a classroom or lunchroom. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Needham. Mr. Kuhn, anybody else out there?
Nobody else with a hand raised.
Thank you very much.
If I could make a comment.
Ms. Simon, please.
I also am hoping that we'll have some conversation about COVID protections, and I believe that Mr. Kuna will talk a little later about our buildings and the ventilation issues. And I've been reading a lot of studies about how masking has been showing to be an important part of protecting people. And I'm just interested in making sure that we continue. It's obviously very volatile subject, then people feel very strongly on both sides of it. But I do want to try to make sure that we're keeping our students and our staff as safe as possible. And I would like maybe in September, Dr. Conti, you could give us an update on what our protocols will be, because I know DESE came out with a new one, and then the CDC came out with a new one, and maybe Ms. Conley could help us find a good protocol that could address when there are surges or school vacation weeks or things like that. So I'm hoping we can continue the conversation, because as we all know, COVID is not gone. So I do hope that we'll be looking into that. Thank you.
Through the chair, just very briefly, Ms. Simon, we are working on a protocol. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education just came out with theirs. We will not be requiring masking, but masking is, anyone who wants to wear a mask is always welcome to wear a mask. I think all of the things within our control we will do. I think one of the challenges we will have is we are not testing in schools. So sharing the data, we will just be reliant upon families who share their testing results with us. So I think there's going to be some limitations, but we will practice as many mitigation factors as are in our control. I think the air quality and some of the eating suggestions, I think we're obviously considering during the weather that is that allows us to do so. But again, we won't be requiring masks of everybody, but we will, again, certainly be supporting anyone who wants to wear a mask while in school.
Thank you.
Next up, information/reports. Is there anyone that has a subcommittee report? Anyone from Ways and Means online there? We will move on. Next item, learning. First item, planning for success process discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You were all sent a sort of a draft, and I'm going to stress draft of the Planning for Success document, which is our district improvement plan. As you all know, there's a regulation that we have to present an improvement plan to this committee for approval annually. The one exception that they make is the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education promotes a Planning for Success process. Planning for Success is a actual term. It is a structured process. It's not something that we made up. It's something the department encourages us to utilize. This is our third round, so we've had 2 prior 3-year plans. The last 3-year plan was really derailed because of the pandemic. I think it's really important. The reason that you have an early draft is I think it's really important that we get back to our 3-year planning process and that we discuss the areas of focus that we'll have and what we'll be doing. And the image I'm trying to avoid is how I felt the last basically 2.5 years. If you've ever seen a 5 or 6-year-old soccer game where the ball sort of goes to a place and then all the kids run to the ball and then it squirts out and then the whole team runs to the... So I felt like every time there was a change in protocol that we would all scramble to the ball, and we had to make lots of instructional compromises because of the safety protocols that we had to put in place. I think this fall is an opportunity for us to get back to the instructional practices and the institutional programs that we have, and to make sure that we're stressing the things that we want to stress. So again, the 3 main buckets that we're really trying to fit things in are equity, learning, and thriving. The reason I'm using the word thriving is because of the equity statement, Mr. Chair, that you read as part of this committee's work, is to have all students thrive, and I think that's a great word for us to utilize. An important thing that we'll be discussing moving forward is the metrics associated with each of those areas. And again, how do you measure thriving? That's a great conversation for us to have, but maybe that we need to do more school culture surveys. We need to maybe talk to, do more parent outreach. We need to develop that. And I think for this committee, we need to also put together when we're going to be sharing those metrics. And I think that needs to be predictable. So again, I'm assuming in October, we'll be sharing enrollment data, because that's when we keep track, that's when we submit our enrollment data to the state. We should probably have, use October as an opportunity to present our MCAS data, because that's typically when we get the MCAS data back from the state from the prior spring. And that should be predictable from the committee. We should also present to you in January. Again, not 50 metrics, but we should probably have 3 or 4 that the committee really wants us to present, and then we should present those same metrics in June. And again, my point is they should be predictable, they should be metrics that the school committee is interested in, and there really shouldn't be any surprises. Things will always come up in the school district, absolutely. We can't sort of make everything predictable because we work with children, but there should be aspects of the year that are aligned and that provide metrics for you all to make sure that we're making progress in that area. And then obviously my goals will align with the plan. You all need to approve my goals. That'll happen in September. And then we'll have specific plans in the areas of special education, ELL, and for SEL, social emotional learning. The equity work in the district is really built into the main district plan. So there was a lot of effort put in and a lot of expertise shared in the plan that you're looking at moving forward. And then there'll be follow-up plans from the BECC, from the elementary schools, from the middle school, and from the high school principals. We will be working on those in the fall, and they'll present those to you in January as part of the budget process. Obviously, their plans will align with the district plans that you see, and we'll be focusing on the same areas and looking at the same metrics. Again, we've gotten out of this practice because of the pandemic. But I think it's very important that we get back to the discipline of making sure that we are working on what the committee wants us to work on, and that we are showing progress in those areas. So I just want to make sure that I explain the background of this document. I want to make sure that the importance of this document is also shared. The school committee agendas will reflect Again, those 3 areas, we'll be trying to talk about those topics. Not that other things can't come up. They always do. But again, I don't want to, I want to avoid looking, looking like the soccer game that I described earlier, because we just have, we need to get back to what we know works best. So certainly answer any questions or take any feedback, but I didn't want you to just to get this in September without having a chance to see the evolution of the document, all the planning that's going to go into it, for you to send me any ideas or input that you have as individuals, or if you want to discuss, again, in the first meeting in September, some specific areas, let's have that discussion, because all of the meetings that I'm going to be having with staff are going to be guided by this work. So, we just have to remain disciplined to do that. And again, the measures that you want to see, the metrics of progress, will be aligned with this work as well.
Questions or comments from the committee? Ms. Massardo?
Who's helping you, who's putting this together? Is this all you, or are you working, is there a small committee?
Again, I'm working with my staff,
Okay.
so I work closely with, for instance, Ray shared a lot of his expertise with the district plan, because we wanted to have be built on a foundation of equity. So again, this plan is there. Obviously, for the special education, Mrs. Ciccolini worked on that, and so everyone's been working on their component. Again, we were guided by the prior plan as well. Schools don't reinvent themselves year to year to year, so we have sort of multiple years that we're working on things. But it's with the folks in the district. And again, my belief, Ms. Mazzardo, is that the plan needs to reflect the values as expressed by this committee, and you should be expressing the values that are shared with you from the community. And then our job is to operationalize that, and this is really the roadmap to that operation.
Okay. If I may, one more.
Please.
And if I recall, this then will trickle down into like a middle school plan and thus elementary plan.
Yes.
Okay.
And they'll all, again, have the same format, they'll have the same areas of focus, but it's going to look different at the preschool than it's going to look at the high school.
Okay, just clarifying. Thank you.
Anything else? Ms. Simon?
I'm glad that, it was time for another 3-year, because it was so derailed by the pandemic. And I've noticed there's a number of items that were on the old one that I think are really important and valuable. And I'm glad that I'm hoping that we'll be able to really focus on them, like the portrait of a graduate and updating the policy manual and things like that. I'm just looking at the first page off the. So I'm really glad that we're working on this, and I appreciate that you're giving us this draft so that we have time to look at it and talk about it and give you input. So thank you.
And again, I'm just going to stress, if you need to see the values that you believe your constituents want reflected in this plan, if it diverges that much from that, then it's going to be, there'll be issues. So I think that's the point of this. What we're doing shouldn't be a surprise, and again, how we're measuring it shouldn't be a surprise, and you all should be able to see progress in that.
I will only add that I'm impressed by the comprehensiveness of the document. I'm looking forward to conversations throughout the year. Thank you for sharing it with us. Next is School Committee Schedule 2022/2023 discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We need to meet during the school year. So I made an assumption that you didn't want to go to one a month, so that's was an assumption. And so there are some months where, because of vacations, there are only one meeting. There were several months where we're meeting back-to-back in certain weeks because of holidays, and I just we tried to outline when those holidays were. We have typically met the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, so where there are exceptions, we have that noted, and I just wanted to make sure that we noted that accurately, and that you will approve these dates.
Ms. Monaco?
Why is there only one meeting in May?
why is there only one meeting in May?
I don't know.
Let me
That's
look
why I
at-
asked
let me-
the
Let me look
question.
at the calendar. I'm sorry. Let me see. That might have slipped by me. Feels like we were just in May.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, but we weren't.
It would be the 23rd, I
It'd be the
think.
23rd, yep. May 9th and 23rd.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Other comments or questions? Ms. Simon?
Yeah, thank you for asking my first question, Ms. Monaco. So did we just add May 23rd to this calendar? Good, okay.
Yes.
The other thing is that Rosh Hashanah
Mm-hmm.
is on September 25th to 27th, so September, oh, I see, we would have gone to the 13th and the 27th. Is that what
Yeah.
the problem was? Okay,
So that's why it's back. to back.
2 weeks in a
Um,
row.
yeah. Except that September 25th, okay. And I believe that was also, that with Passover, so actually, April 4th being the day before the Seder is a time when people need preparation, whereas April 11th is in the middle of Passover. The observances are on the 1st, 2nd, and 8th night. So I actually think it would be better to have that April meeting on the 11th, not on the 4th, and that would also spread out the schedule a little bit. So if no one else has any problem with that, I would ask that we not meet on April 4th, but meet on April 11th instead. And I appreciate that we are starting to look at these issues and look at these holidays to try to make sure we don't conflict. So if people are comfortable with that, I would like to request that we make it April 11th,
Just,
not 4th.
sorry. When is April vacation, by the way?
I knew you were gonna ask me that. When is,
The
I
10th,
think it's gonna
right?
be the 7th,
Oh, the 17th.
I think the 17th.
Okay, so that would work. Okay.
Right, it's not the school vacation week.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So that's what I think. So again, the motion would be, these would be your meeting dates for the year with the two changes, which would be April 11th and then May 23rd added.
Is there a reason we did November 15th instead of the 8th?
I think because, was that? November is such a crazy month.
It's more in the middle of the month, I think.
It's just, we only
Yeah.
have one meeting every November.
Okay.
So it's toward the middle of the month? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
Yeah.
it's the 15th.
Is that a
I'll be on
conflict for you?
vacation.
Oh,
It's okay.
And,
And I think the 8th is election day, so we tried to
Okay,
steer
that's fine.
clear of that.
Mm, that's true. Any other questions, comments, or proposed changes? So you need an approval on this?
I don't think so, as long as you're all in agreement. I
Yeah,
said
sounds
a
great.
motion, but that's, we don't
Okay.
need a motion, I don't believe.
All right,
thank you.
thank you. Moving along, staff update, Dr. Conti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at your desks, one of the things that people realize or don't realize is that we're very busy during the summer, and one of the main activities during the summer, besides the crews who are cleaning and doing all the maintenance we need, and they're working incredibly hard, and our support staff, getting everything ready, is hiring. And we have a lot of principals who spend a lot of time here, and they also have, typically have committees, and teachers are also volunteering their time to be part of the hiring process. So what I had in front of you are, by school, the new employees, and then if they were replacing or a new position, or someone had left for a leave of absence. And you're gonna see some positions that may have blanks in them, and that's just because we're not done hiring yet. And so it's gonna be a last minute. I think there's a lot of national conversation about a teacher shortage. And again, I think we have all of the teachers, all of the positions for classroom teachers filled. I do think that we are we are seeing fewer applications than we would typically see. So I think there's certainly some merit to the teacher shortage talk. Again, we're not, I think I've heard today Florida has 9,000 openings. We're not in that type of position in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but we are finding it harder to hire positions, especially folks with very specific licenses that we may need to provide services to students. But again, I think you can see by the volume of hiring that we're very busy during the summers, and this is just something I share with the committee at this point every year before the start of school.
Questions or comments from the committee? Ms. Simon?
I just want to thank all of the people who took time this summer to be on these hiring committees, and appreciate, I know it was a lot of hires this year, and I hope we can find the other positions that we're looking for. So, thank you.
Moving along, enrollment update.
Okay, in your packets, you had the district enrollment as of August, and again, that was the overall district enrollment of around 3,500 students, so 3,507, and you saw the individual school enrollments. So again, Fox Hill at 425, Memorial at 394, Pine Glen at 313, Francis Wyman at 498, the middle school at 827, Burlington High School at 873, the Early Childhood Center at 92, and we had about 85 students who were placed outside of the district. And then I provided a more detailed look at the elementary schools. That was at your place this evening. And again, I do want to make sure I thank the committee for providing the staff. I think Burlington prioritizes low class sizes at the elementary level, and I hope you see that in the configurations that we have moving into the 2022-2023 school year. Again, we have a few classes that are at 20 and right around 20, but those are probably 4 or 5. The rest are really at 16, 17, 18 are really where we're trying to prioritize. And so again, I hope you see that value, as we were talking about earlier, reflected in the practice of how the principals are creating sections, homerooms at the elementary schools, and then staffing those rooms. So I'm always impressed with how the elementary principals make that work, because they do a great job.
Questions?
I just want to say I'm really happy with these elementary numbers, so thank you. I know a lot of work went into moving folks around, moving rooms, and I know we had to redistrict some folks too, but I think a lot of parents will be really pleased with these numbers, so thank you.
Anybody
More
else?
comment?
Oh, please, go ahead.
I was also looking at some of the district numbers, and I know we focus a lot on the elementary numbers, but I think we have the bubble of enrollment just hitting the middle school right now. The next 3 years of the middle school is going to be a couple of jumps and into the high school. I am positive we have room at the high school to keep class sizes normal. Do we have a plan at the middle school for like the next, I think it's 3 years, you're looking at like 30 plus more students in the next couple of years?
Again, we would need to absorb those on the teams that we have.
Okay.
Is what I would say. We're sort of landlocked in a sense at the
Yep.
middle school. If we need to take any other measures or expand a team or add an assistant, we can certainly, I'll talk to Ms. Purchase about doing that. But I do think we almost have a reverse hourglass where
Yep.
we have smaller class sizes with a bulge in the middle. But it's something we'll look at, Ms. Massaro.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Again, Mr. Chair, just something came up earlier. I've got a text from Terry to make sure to remind me. Mr. Middleton wants to take the tradition to take band members to Hampton Beach on the last day of band camp. This is something that happens every year. I honestly just missed this in the school committee packet, so I apologize. So with the school committee's permission, I support the trip. I'd just like you guys to approve the band going to Hampton Beach on the last day of band camp.
So moved.
Second. Does anyone need more explanation of that? Okay.
Just one question, do they need chaperones?
I'll ask Mr. Middleton.
There is a motion on the floor. Any other questions, serious questions? All right, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes 4-0.
I hope they all have a great time, as they always do. And I've been hearing them when I sit out in my deck to have dinner in the evening, and or in the late afternoon before dinner, actually, and I've been hearing band camp, so it's exciting to remember, because one of my daughters was in band too.
All right, moving along, facilities and finance. First one, Fox Hill School Building Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll turn that over to Bob, who hosted a building committee meeting last evening.
Right. So through the chair, thank you. Since our last meeting in July, we have put the OPM proposals out for bid. They're actually due tomorrow by 1 p.m.
Bob, I'm sorry, just owner's project manager, just.
Sure. Owner's project manager is OPM. This is a person or a firm that we are looking to bring on as part of a MSBA project that will help and guide us, which is the school building committee, along with the school department and the school committee as well too, to hopefully build a new Fox Hill School Elementary in a timely manner with MSBA's assistance. So as mentioned, like I said, the proposals did go out 2 weeks ago. They are due back in tomorrow. We don't know how many proposals we will receive. That being said, we did host a voluntary meeting at Fox Hill for any vendors who would like to attend, ask questions, and view the property. We did have 7 individual firms attend that, along with a few school committee members and school building committee members as well. Like I said, tomorrow we expect to receive those packets, and we do have a timeline as discussed at our school building committee for the next 3 weeks. An important date that this committee needs to be aware of is September 7th. That is the deadline for us to submit our OPM preference to the MSBA, which is the Massachusetts School Building Authority. If we submit by September 7th, that secures our spot for the panel vote that the MSBA will hold on October 3rd. So again, we have a tight crunch over the next 3 weeks, hopefully receive enough packets, hopefully that we will have 3 top candidates, and hopefully we will make a recommendation and negotiate with this firm and put that in front of the MSBA before September 7th.
Questions or comments? Ms. Monaco?
So the process has changed some since the last time we did a school. Does the school committee as a group vote on any of this?
Later in the process, yes, the school committee will be involved, but this part of the
But not
process
in
of
choosing the project manager?
only members of the school building committee as designated by the school committee who selected those members.
Yeah,
So the school building committee is the selection process for the OPM.
okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Thank you. Moving along.
Just one
Oh,
other quick
please.
question. For some reason, we're going to get this all done by that time, but if some reason we don't, do we just get pushed then to the November MSBA meeting potentially?
Potentially, that is the deal. So if we meet these timelines of September 7th and MSBA approves our recommendation, that puts us on the October 3rd panel. If we don't meet that deadline, or if they need an extension of time, it would push us to the November meeting. And if we need more time, then it would push us further down the line. But again, our goal is to meet the timeline of September 7th.
Yes, thanks.
All right, next item, Burlington High School update, our standing agenda item.
For the actual Burlington High School, I don't have a specific update, so I'd like to use this as time to do a district update, if okay with the school committee.
Of course.
First and foremost, I want to echo Dr. Conti's earlier statement, thanking the custodial and clerical staff. Busy time during the summer, which I think a lot of us forget. The buildings are still looking decent, but they're going to look better in the next 2 weeks for the start of school, so I definitely want to thank them. And again, the clerical staff, which I may have forgot to thank them earlier in the school year, needs a million thank yous from me again, because there's a lot of work processing new employees, getting school ready, just making sure that the buildings are ready as well. Tremendous amount of effort and work goes in, so I want to thank both of them. Buses are always an important conversation this time of year, so we have submitted all of our data to the bus company, and we are working with them closely. We're trying to have a draft proposal this week, and that means we'll have to go through and make any last-minute changes. We're looking to have a final plan up on the website by mid to end of next week. So end would be a deadline, but really we're looking to get to the middle of next week and get these bus routes up on our website. I know every single year we're going to be met with requests from our residents. We are starting to handle those already, but we're not looking to address those right away unless they're emergencies. So we'll continue to receive any requests for buses. We will log them. We will respond to people, letting them know that we did get their request. But unless it's an emergency, we're not looking to address those changes immediately. We want to plot the routes. We want to get the routes posted on the website. We want to get through at least the first week of school, so then we can make multiple changes. Every time there's a single change, it can have possible domino effects. So we don't just want to make the easy fix of adding a stop. We need to run through and work out some kinks. So like I said, that first week of school, we really would like the patience of the residents to ride the buses, let us know their feedback, and then we'll make adjustments later on in September. So,
Bob, can I ask?
Please, Ms. Massardo.
If I recall, last year we either added a bus, was it temporarily, or we borrowed a bus? Are we doing that again?
So
We
it's
don't
still, it's on our plan,
Okay.
but we haven't approved the routes yet.
Okay.
So I'll let you
Okay.
know
Okay.
next meeting. Yeah, yeah, the first one.
Other questions or comments? Anything else, Mr. Kuna? Our next item is summer projects update. Is that a separate item, or?
Yeah.
Okay, please.
I won't go through the whole list. What I'll start with is the big one. As you drive in, you see the turf field. There were some delays, but we seem to be on a schedule right now that fits for the school and fits for our teams and our music department, even though currently the music department is practicing on the field with no lights for the next 2 weeks. So we are working through some of those issues, and we do hope the field done by September 10th. So right now, you'll see that turf has been removed, taken off property as part of the recycling process in the contract. This week and next week, they're continuing to do laser prep and grading of the surface for the substrate below, just to make sure that we can put down a nice, even turf. Installation and, we should be receiving the turf next week, either Monday or Tuesday, and installation should start once we receive that. So you should start seeing some green, white, and red out on the field next week. Again, expected completion date is September 10th, so it does cut into the start of school year, so we won't be practicing on the field, and we hope it does not impact music or sporting events past September 10th, but we'll keep the committee updated. The track, we're not going to complete just because we couldn't get the crews to work back to back because they're two different companies, so we're going to have a gap in between. We're told we need a 3-day window. So we're going to look at the schedule and confirm with the company and see if we can schedule 3 days during between now and October 31st. As long as weather permitting, we're looking to see if we can have the track done. If not, we're going to have to push the track installation out until next year, probably April, once the weather gets above 40 degrees. But again, I'll update the committee as to that process when we get closer.
Through the chair, Bob, will they hold the price?
They are holding the price, but they don't want to have that conversation right now. They want to really try to get it done before October. So, other questions? No?
Any other questions, Ms. Simon?
So you actually referred to recycling the old turf field, and so were we able to hire a company that will recycle it and not just dump the old plastic?
We ourselves are sub-hiring that company, so through Sprint Turf is the company that owns this whole project, so they're subbing out everything from removal, laser grading, and recycling of the existing turf.
So they've agreed to recycle it, not just remove it and dump it. That's excellent. I'm really glad to hear that.
Sprint Turf is also a manufacturer of the actual plastic material themselves, so they can actually reuse the plastic in some shape or form for their own process.
That's even better. Reuse it. Great, thank you.
Yep. Definitely want to talk about HVAC. I know it's a big topic last year, and it's going to be a continued project, topic of discussion for this year. Right now, we are in air conditioning mode, so the machines will have to be flipped for heat. But crews, in-house and external crews, have been here working on maintenance on all of our rooftop units and inside the classrooms as well. Filter changes have been completed in all of the units. So when staff gets back, they will have, again, new filters and maintained machines, meeting the expectation that, you know, we've set forward not only in our code, but obviously during the pandemic as well. Again, we will discuss with staff when it's nice out, keeping windows open. We still have the HEPA filter / air purifiers in, I'm gonna say all, but definitely most classrooms and most teaching spaces throughout the buildings. We have replacement filters. We've been maintaining those. Our custodial staff and maintenance staff is aware of any of the lights on them, and we do have spares. So if any staff was to come into that classroom and see a light on, they can contact the custodial staff in their building or myself directly, and like I said, we can maintain those machines just to help purify the air in the classroom. So, any questions on that?
Are you still doing CO2?
So we have moved to like a more sporadic CO2 testing where we have not been testing every single day. When the pandemic changed a little bit and lightened up our load, again, we still are doing CO2, but not at the same level or the same number of times that we were prior to. So again, sporadic CO2 testing, really just to make sure that we're maintaining proper CO2 levels in the classrooms.
Ms. Simon, oh, you had the same question? Okay.
Can I,
Ms. Massardo?
did Pine Glen get its air conditioning, or is that still in, oh, that's next.
But-
Apologies, sorry.
No, it's perfect. I'll segue right into it through the chair.
Please.
So we did not install it in Pine Glen yet. We have done a walkthrough with the engineering firm. Right now, they are building the specs for us. We'll have to approve those specs and go out to bid. Due to timelines and restrictions in getting the equipment and work crews, we pretty much knew that we weren't, or at least I knew, we weren't gonna get it done for the summer. So our goal right now is to put it out to bid in September, potentially early October, and target an installation date either later in October or November. Similar to when we did Francis Wyman in 2 phases, we did that installation at second shift. So the cost really was not a huge impact to us to do it at second shift. And like I said, getting the equipment and keeping the crews busy, it actually fits pretty well right now, given, you know, the way the world is. So again, our plan is September-ish to go out to bid, October, November, if everything works well and fits within our budget, to contract and have the installation start then. These units are planned to go again in most teaching spaces, if not all teaching spaces. There are 2 areas right now in Pine Glen that currently have air conditioning, so we're not replacing those in this project. These will also have heat pumps as well too, so we will have the ability to use them during the winter if need be, even though if you ask any of the teachers in that building, historically Pine Glen is hot throughout the whole entire year, so I don't necessarily see us using the heat pumps too frequently over there, so. Any questions? I'm just gonna say that field master plan and bathroom projects are ongoing. So the field master plan, we have met with the architect and engineer. They're doing some off-site work, some picture taking and whatnot, and building some wording for the project that we'll have to meet at each site and continue that, but that is underway right now. And again, bathroom projects at Marshall Simons, Francis Wyman, and Pine Glen are underway and expected to be done before the start of school. Every other project, we're waiting on either delivery or equipment. So the visitor management system, Scoreboards at Marshall Simons, even the controller for the Marshall Simons HVAC, again, have all been ordered, but we're looking at a 1 to 2 month wait, and in some cases, as in the controller, it's about a 3-month wait. So we hope to get that October-ish. Again, any other projects I'll continue to update with, but some are just put on hold, and most we're just waiting on parts. So.
When do we expect that field study done?
I'll have to look back at the timeline, but completion date was proposed for 3 months from the start. And again, we're
So
early on the
they-
timeline, so I expect
October,
before,
November.
yeah,
Okay.
before the first of the year, definitely.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Cuna.
Through the
Oh,
chair,
please.
I'm sorry, Bob, I'm just, how are the estimates for the warrants holding up, just because pricing is so volatile? Are you feeling like you have enough money to get the jobs done?
Some will be tight, some, again, we're still waiting on estimates. Again, through the chair, my apologies. I would say something like the Francis Wyman Playground. We've had to gone back to the drawing board, not necessarily remove any equipment, but rethink maybe the size of a port-and-play structure, or maybe rethink any type of surface that we were looking at putting in. So maybe maintaining a natural earth surface for now, and then maybe in the future thinking of either some stone or port-in-place rubber. But again, that was a part of the estimate that we were really focused on getting the playground itself, as opposed to some of the surrounding area. The scoreboards at Marshall Simons, that one right now, we had originally quoted for 3 scoreboards, Marvin Field, Francis Wyman, and Marshall Simons, approximately about $45,000 a piece. The Marshall Simons, the quote for the scoreboard itself and the quote for installation is up about 25 grand. So since we got those quotes back in February, March, to actually, putting them in practice, $25,000. So that's going to impact us in the second and third one. But we're not there yet. So again, we'll watch that one. Some ones like master plans and so forth are on task, and those companies are holding to those. HVAC controllers, they're holding to that. But as we discussed at our last meeting, the activity bus is really just a shortage of equipment, and then whatever equipment is available, even though it doesn't match our needs. The price of automobiles in general has just gone through the roof.
Right.
So over-sticker price and so forth. So right now, we're actually holding off and not looking to purchase, but if we were, I think that would be a tight budget for us. So we'll have to just continue to watch them and make sure that we can meet our goals.
Ms. Monaco?
Bob, on the playground, the base, whether it's earth or rubber or whatever, I think is a safety issue fairly often. And I would encourage you to keep us well-informed so that if we need to go to Ways and Means or even to town meeting to get extra money to finish it properly so that we have a safe landing, so to speak, for kids. I know I would certainly want to do that rather than try to just have an earth base for the playground. We want to be careful and make sure we don't get any broken arms.
If I could just
Please.
If I could just clarify that, I agree with you strongly, right? And we also have requirements that we would have to meet by state code as well.
Good.
So we wouldn't remove anything that would be unnecessary. The parking lot is adjacent to both an upper and a lower Francis Wyman playground. So when you
Yes.
look at the overall area, it's rather large.
Yes, it's very
Right, so when you
large.
look at both areas together, we look at the necessity and what also is gonna fit each component. So when I'm talking about any earth, I'm talking about any pathways. If they don't need to be as wide or as large as we would like them to be, that's a cost savings for us. But we don't wanna take away from the impact or the safety of the actual field itself. Also, underneath any type of structure, again, we're required to have, some material down there, so it would not just be grass or dirt.
I just think town meeting and the Ways and Means Committee would prefer to help us out in order to make it nice and not cut back on it if that's what happens. If we reach the point where we need to go and ask, I think we should.
Understood, thank you.
And Bob, one other thing, I'll jump ahead of Mrs. Monaco's question, is the communication boards. You had told me you had ordered those and those are in.
Yes.
Good.
We got a pretty good deal on them. We ordered 6. We have 6 playgrounds at all of our buildings. These are just on the school property. And when we ordered the 6, there was a deal that we got 3 vinyl boards as well. So the vinyl are not boards. They are really just vinyl flags or banners, if you want to call them that. So our intent is that when maintenance lightens up, that we will install the actual boards themselves in the playgrounds.
Yeah.
We haven't found a home yet for the 3 additional vinyl banners, but they're the same size as the boards, have the same print on the boards. Those could either be used internal or external. So again, I've been having conversations with some elementary principals, Deb Clark at BECC, Christina Ciccolini. So we'll definitely put those to good use. But again, the intent is that all 6 of our playgrounds will have the physical boards themselves, and then the 3 extra banners, we'll find good homes for them.
Great.
Anything else? Before we move to executive session, is there anything else that not on the agenda that needs to come before the committee tonight? Okay, we do have need for executive session according to Mass General Laws 30A, Section 21A, subsection 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. We will only come out of it in order to adjourn.
I move we go into executive session.
Second.
This is a roll call vote. Ms. Monaco?
Aye.
Ms. Simon?
Aye.
Ms. Massardo?
Aye.
And I vote aye. We are now in executive session.